What is up, guys, and welcome to episode 8 of the Paper and Purpose podcast. I'm Ryan, and I absolutely hate the feeling of survival mode, the mode where you're living in a primal state of paycheck to paycheck, and I want to help people escape so they can live life to its full potential. This is the podcast where I gather the gems and nuggets about money from the greatest minds I can find to help people escape survival mode. And today's guest did over $3 million in sales in 10 months using high-ticket dropshipping. I am pleased to welcome Brook Hiddink. Brook, welcome to the show, brother.
Happy to be here.
So, You've kind of talked about your story on social. You said that you were kind of on the path of going into corporate law, landed a six-figure job with the top firm, and you were kind of prepared to go down that route until you tried out e-commerce, thought you just kind of wanted to make some side income with it, and stumbled on finding what you wanted to do full-time. So can you just kind of tell me about that process of being in law school, kind of doing something that you weren't really inspired to do, but kind of fit the norm of making it in the world and finding your actual calling in e-com, what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I was always in athletics growing up, so I'd always kind of set just naturally like bigger goals for myself. So when I was in university, the natural thing to kind of set was just to try and attend law school or med school or something like that.
Right.
I wouldn't say it was necessarily like a true passion of mine ever, even though I'm sure I thought it was at times. I'm sure if I was really honest with myself, I always knew that I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. So it was more just I didn't know where to start. A lot of times I think a lot of people, like, they want to start a business, they want to do something, but they don't know like the first step, like what to do next to really get that going. So went on through school, went to law school for a few years. And like, I would kind of remember like telling myself internally that I would do corporate law because I could then work with businesses, which is what I actually wanted to do, was start my own business. So I don't even know if I was cognizant of the fact I was being dishonest with myself at the time, but it slowly kind of started to emerge. And I summered at a law firm last summer, so in the summer of 21, and that was from May till mid-August. And then I had about 6 weeks off before law school started, which is my final year this past year. So during that period, I didn't have really anything to do. So I thought I might as well start something just on the side, because law school is obviously not cheap. So just try and make like a side income during the year kind of thing. And then even when I start work at the law firm, it'd still be nice to have some extra income. So that was kind of the thinking. I don't know if it was luck, hard work, mix of both, but I kind of had success pretty fast. I think we did. So I started my store in August, like watched the course I got at the time, started putting everything together. Made our first sale in September, ended up losing like $500 on the sale because of shipping costs. But then October, we got a really good supplier on board, and I think we scaled up to like 150,000 in the first 2 months or something like that. So it was pretty clear quickly, I guess, that it was a viable business model that I could make work, which I think was very important for me. I think if it was smaller, like I was doing 10, 20,000 a month revenue, with 4,000 or 5,000 profit, like it maybe wouldn't have been so quick to cancel out the law. But just like the amount of success I saw fast, it made it pretty easy. So I was like all over my parents didn't want to go back second semester. I did go back, but ended up not finishing.
I guess you just showed them the screenshots of how much money you were doing, and they were like, okay, maybe this is all right.
Yeah, I heard all sorts of things. Oh, the economy, this, that, like why was it going to work? But I knew like, especially our parents, like it's a different generation. They don't necessarily understand, I guess, like the internet and the opportunities available to us every day. So I kind of had that like in mind. I respect their opinion, but I also knew they didn't understand.
You made a point that you kind of had the entrepreneurial spirit while you were in college, but didn't really know exactly where you wanted to go with that. And I think that's a pretty common feeling for a lot of people before they find any kind of success in the entrepreneurial world. Now that you've found success, do you have any kind of advice for people that know they want to go and sell something, know that they don't want to just do the 9 to 5, don't want to slave away for 40 years for hopefully 10, 20 years of a decent retirement? Do you have any kind of advice to them to like try to start figuring it out during their 20s and kind of make some progress towards what they actually want to do?
I think just start. It doesn't even have to be necessarily what you want. You just have to start something. Because if you don't start something, like I think oftentimes people want to have the whole path figured out before they start. but that's just not how it works. Like you have to start. And then when you start, opportunities will come up and you'll have 3 doors open, and then one will look best. And then you'll go in that door, and then 3 more doors will open, and then one will look best. And it's kind of like a continual evolution of what you want. Like you're not going to know right away. So I think the most important thing is to just pick something. Like a lot of the products I sell, I'm not passionate about, I don't care about, but I'm passionate about building a business. I don't care what the business does. That's like my actual passion, is building something out of nothing. That's essentially what business is. You're creating something that exists outside of you. So if I don't answer the phone today, my business is still there. So that's kind of my passion. And I think that's probably the case for a lot of entrepreneurial people. And given that, it doesn't matter necessarily what you're doing. You just create something. And once you do that, you'll kind of, I guess, gain insights as to what you're best at, what suits your strengths, what you enjoy. And then as you gain those insights, you can kind of double down on what you do best. So for me, I don't think I'll do e-com my whole life. Like I love the digital advertising space. So I'm going to start a digital advertising industry because that's what I'm best at and that's what I enjoy the most. But I would have never known that if I didn't do e-com first, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's something to kind of trudging away at some of the things that maybe you aren't really meant to do or aren't your calling, because you do develop skills along the way doing those jobs, or even in college, you can pick up some skills along the way, some networking skills, whatever. So you really don't have to have it all figured out up front. There is just something to be said of just going through the motion and going through those steps that finally get you to you having that light bulb moment of, hey, I've acquired all these skills along the way. I would actually be really successful at this, and finally pursuing that. I would love for you to fill my audience in on kind of the high ticket dropshipping business model and what you do. I've done a lot of research into just some of the threads and stuff you put out, and I haven't really seen anybody else talking about it in the space. So I think it's really cool. I feel like when most people hear dropshipping, they think of like novelty, like knickknacks you see on TikTok or something. So they don't really think about the niche that you're in. So I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. So like you said, like a lot of people who do dropshipping, essentially what they're doing is they're searching for the next hot product on these websites in China or overseas, wherever. And they're hoping to make like a TikTok or some sort of Facebook video that a whole bunch of people are going to buy, but then it's going to fizzle out 2 months later, and then they're on the hunt for the next product. So that's kind of their model. Mm-hmm. Our model is we reach out to brands that are established. Like some of our suppliers have been around for over 100 years in the US. That's where the products are. That's where they ship from. And usually high tickets. So anywhere from $500 to like $20,000 plus. Like we have products on our website for $50,000 plus from these brands. And essentially you call them and you're essentially just trying to be a Home Depot, but online. So you're just saying like, this is my retail store. This is my marketing plan. This is like kind of our core values. This is how we treat our customers. We'd love to list your products. And then they'll say yes. And then essentially the model is a customer will come to our website. They'll place an order through us. We'll get their money. We'll submit the order to the brand. The brand will then ship the product to the customer and we'll pay the brand. We keep the difference. So usually it's about 25, 30%, but it's as high as 50, as low as 10. It really varies. But that's kind of the model at a high level. So think of it as like a symbiotic relationship where the brand is warehousing the products and shipping them, and we're doing all the advertising and customer service. So it's kind of like we do the advertising, customer service, like customer facing side of things. All they have to do is manufacture the product, warehouse it, ship it.
It sounds like a win-win on both sides. Like you're doing the heavy lifting. Obviously, they've got the product, but you're the channel for people to find the products or do deeper research or go and have a selection of different things to choose from. So do you have to keep kind of a back and forth communication with the people that you're supplying through to make sure you have inventory for it, or do some things go on back order with a system like that?
It varies very much brand to brand. Like some of them have portals where we can go in and we can see all the products that they have, what the stock is, and we can like sync that right to our store. Other ones will send you like a spreadsheet once a month. But with our nature of products, oftentimes customers are fine with waiting. Like if it's like a big item that they're going to have to install, if it's not in stock right now, like usually we just list all of our products as in stock, available for order, but we put the shipping time underneath using an app. So it will say like, ready in stock, you can order it today, but it's ready to ship September 15th. And then it'll ship out in like 4 or 5 weeks kind of thing. Gotcha. Yeah. So it does vary by brand, but we are always like on top of like what's in stock, what's not, and kind of like updating our customers for sure.
And did you start with high ticket, or did you try any other brands or shops before you got into that and realize if you were selling something more expensive, it kind of justifies ad spend and stuff like that a lot more?
Yeah, so I did try before, I think with 5 or 6 stores, and just failed absolutely miserably. It was not good, but it is like I don't really think that's a business in a sense, because I think like with those cheaper stores, if you don't exist, your business doesn't exist. With these, like when your hot product runs out, then like if no one finds the next one, what's going to happen? Like you're not going to sell anything. Where like this is like you actually can build some enterprise value. You can build a brand for yourself by associating with these other brands. So like we have all these brands in our store that have been around for so long. Then all of a sudden our brand is like associated with them because we're selling them. And then you can start building up your like organic traffic rankings, domain authority, and then like all of a sudden you have 50,000 people come to your website every month without even paying for ads. And that's how you can really maximize your enterprise value and eventually go for like an exit and sell your business for a lot of money, where you'll never see that with these lower ticket dropshipping stores. Very rarely will exit for any significant amount.
And you've had a thread kind of talking about hiring freelancers to help you with your work. When did you start delegating? When did you hire your first person to come help you on? What was it for?
It was actually before we even made our first sale. It was in October for product uploads. That was like the first person I hired is actually still with me. So she's like our manager now. She's awesome. But we went through a period where like I had fired like probably 6 or 7 just terrible people. So I have the process refined now where we can get good people almost every time. But that wasn't easy. I think it's good to hire as quickly as you can, because no matter how hard you work as a business owner, someone with a business owner with themselves and 10 employees is going to beat you every time, just in terms of hours. So if say you work 10 hours a day and all your employees work 10 hours a day, so if you have 10 people working 10 hours a day, you have 100 hours worked a day versus someone working 10, and then they'll think that, oh, I'll work harder, and then they're still working 16. You're still working 86 more hours than them when you have a team. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing to grow your business fast is leverage. And there's 2 types of leverage. You have other people's time and other people's money. And you want to use as much of both of those as possible to grow your business. More other people's time in the form of employees, and more other people's money in terms of financing, your customers' money, whatever else to just put back into the business.
And in your process of hiring VAs, you talk about after you have somebody hired, you'll go on like a 2-week probationary period. And then after that, you'll offer them a month's salary to just go and quit. And they never do it. They always choose to stay, and it kind of reinforces a commitment to the company. Where did you learn this technique, or did you come up with it on your own, and why did you implement it?
So I actually learned it from a man named Isaac Smith. So Isaac owns a company called Summit Commerce. So they actually do our books, but they have another service on the side of doing books, is a done-for-you hiring. So I was really, really struggling for a long time with hiring, like not getting good people, not like kind of people I wanted to build the company with. And I knew his bookkeepers are mainly based in the Philippines, and he had a team of like 10 to 12 of them, and they were all great to deal with. So I asked him, and then he had this done for you hiring service. So we then actually hired 2 people through them, but I got him to send us the whole process of how they did it. And then we kind of replicated it and made some tweaks to kind of fit our business. But that's kind of how I got that idea in particular, the one where you make that offer to them at the end of the 2 weeks. Like, you're doing great. We'd love to have you, but we'll give you full month's salary to quit right now. And then when they say no to that, mentally, they're kind of, they feel more committed. They're less likely to leave in the future. So it's definitely worth it. And yeah, like you said, we've never had anyone actually take it.
So with what you're doing, it seems like you've had a really good past year with it, and it looks like you just kind of came onto social to start sharing that here recently. What kind of made you want to go ahead and start sharing your story and getting that out, and kind of having some digital real estate with who you are and your brand?
Yeah, a few reasons. I think like a lot has been what Alex Hormozi is doing. I kind of agree with a lot of what he says. That one thing he said in particular, like what if you are the reason someone, what if you not saying like how you succeeded is the reason like other people don't succeed? Like what if what you did is the reason other people succeed? Because then it's like you stop. It doesn't really matter like internally like how you feel about posting stuff. It's like you're actually doing it from a good place, and doing it for the opportunity for other people to value from what you've learned. So I think like that's kind of the reason that got me started. I would like to do coaching and stuff eventually. Exactly what that will look like, I'm not really sure. but just kind of trying to provide value and give, as he would always say, like, make your free stuff better than everyone else's paid stuff, and then you'll be in a good spot.
Yeah, you're off to a good start, man. So you have a sports background, grew up playing hockey, and were very competitive with that. And then after a series of concussions, decided you had to hang it up and kind of went down the route that we talked about here recently. Kind of talk about how sports is tied into your drive behind business and everything you've accomplished the last few years.
Yeah, I think I was playing sports in such a young age, like 5 or 6, even younger, like 3, 4, I was skating already. But it's kind of just ingrained in, shaped me as a person more than anything, like just being in competitive environments, teams with coaches being hard on you, workouts all summer, 5 a.m. hockey practices, like all that stuff just kind of like obviously plays a role in your development as a person. So I think it's naturally made me hardworking. And I did make it to quite a high level. When I was like 15, 16, I played like in semi-pro HL. So I think that when you get really good at something, anything, no matter what it is, if you get really good at something, then when you do something new, you want to at least be that good again, or you won't, like, you know what you can kind of do in one area, so you don't want to fall short in another area. So I think that's kind of like a big factor in even just goal setting for myself. Like I would never set like an average goal. Like I always want to be like at the higher end of whatever I do. And not for the money, not for any of that, just because I like pushing myself and like seeing what I can actually accomplish. Like I don't try and like compare myself to other people. I just want to essentially be the best version of me and live true to myself. So I know if I'm doing the best I can, then I'll feel good, essentially.
And a good pillar for that is within fitness and taking care of yourself and being in good shape, which you are. And you talked about recently how you actually used to be kind of lazy, and I was too. And there's something kind of weird about like being that lesser version of yourself. Like you never really want to be that again. Can you kind of talk about that transition from, or if there was like a switch that flipped or anything, and you kind of started gaining the ambition that you have now?
Yeah, I think after hockey, there was like a 2-year period where I was just like at university partying, going out, not really doing much physical activity. And I think that was mainly because I was so used to hockey every weekend for 15 years, I just didn't know what to do. New group of friends, just kind of like a mix of things. It wasn't ever like me going down a bad path or like purposely doing it. It was kind of just circumstantial. And then I think the goal was at the time to like get into law school. I started listening to podcasts. So I don't know if you're familiar with like Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. I started listening to those guys. And I think that's the first memory I have of things kind of turning around for me, is listening to stuff like that. I remember listening to like Andy Frisella's podcast when he was on episode like 20, like right at the start. I don't even remember what the old one was called, and the CEO Project or something like that. But I remember like listening to that when I was like 15 or 16. That's kind of the first memory I have of it switching. And then ever since then, I started like just like reading books, listening to podcasts, and I think always just trying to. Everyone always says like you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but I think it's important that those people don't have to be the people you're actually spending the most time with. Like you can spend time with people who write books, who talk on a podcast, anything like that. Like I would consider that kind of your own personal network in a way.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a little bit of relief for people that can't find those people that they want to surround themselves with. You can go find people that you really admire in podcasts, books, whatever, and just consume their content. And that essentially is you surrounding yourself with them.
Exactly.
What kind of excites you the most in the internet economy, the creator economy, the opportunities we have available to us through e-com, like all the different avenues of opportunity we have? What's kind of exciting you the most over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think, I'm just kind of like even myself blown away at the opportunities there are online right now.
Yeah.
Like there's like, if you like literally just have one skill and you can do it really well, you can never work a day again and not that long. Like a lot of these people, like older business owners will say like, oh, you got to like work for 20 years to see success. Maybe back then where you had like, if you started a business, your only customer base was whoever lived in your city. Now, like you literally can go on your computer and you have a customer base of 8 billion people there for your taking. There's billions and billions of dollars flying around the internet every day, you have to have a very, very small portion to be in a very good spot financially. So you just got to find a way to take that. And essentially all you really have to do is learn one skill. It doesn't even matter what it is. It could be Google ads, Facebook ads, TikTok videos, making social media content. Any one of these things can make you far more than any regular job can. Any one of them.
Exactly. And you said the skill that you're good at and kind of want to dial in more over the next couple of years is digital advertising. Is that something that you kind of knew for a while you want to do, or is it something you kind of discovered doing e-commerce?
Yeah, so I've always been very analytical. So even growing up playing hockey, I can remember, like, I would remember what number every single person was picked. Like in the draft, I would just know, like, what round they went, what pick they were, what hand they shot, how many goals they had last year. Like, I just kind of knew all that stuff naturally. So I think when I started my e-com store and started running the ads, like, it was just the numbers. Like, oh, I can spend this much here and get this much back, and then I can adjust this bid down for this age group of people who has this cell phone, and I'll get more money back. Like, I really, really like that stuff. I think it just kind of fits my personality, I guess, analytical mind. So I wouldn't say I knew I liked advertising in particular, but the underlying theme of, like, the numbers and analytics and, like, using it to predict future data is kind of like something I've always liked in different areas.
I saw you have a Mark 11 tattooed on your arm. Is there a specific verse you really like from that chapter, or is there any reason that you have that specific tattoo?
Yeah, it essentially just is whatever you believe, whatever you see, whatever you want to create, you have to see first, is essentially the meaning of it. So I think, like, oftentimes people they set a goal for themselves and they want to accomplish the goal and then become the person they want to be. But I think it's opposite. You have to, like, become the person you want to be who accomplishes that goal. So I think you kind of have to almost, like, act as if whatever goal you have is already your reality. And when you act like it already is and you actually believe that, it will become it. That's what the verse means. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely believe in the be, do, have versus everybody thinking once I have some amount of money or the car or the girl or whatever else, then I'll do and be the things that I need to do to reflect that. Do you find yourself doing any kind of manifestation, affirmations, vision board, anything like that? What's kind of your experience with manifestation?
Yeah, so I actually did last year. I put up someone's Shopify dashboard on my vision board. Someone did over $3 million. Didn't even know who he was, but I put it on my vision board. I didn't even know what an advertisement. I didn't know what PPC was. I didn't even know what Shopify was. I didn't know anything. But I'll probably actually pass it now in the next year. So definitely, I've had a few weird things like that happen. I am a big believer, though, of, like, you can't just put it there and stare at it. Like, you have to actually. It's both. You have to put it there so it's in your mind, but then break it down to, okay, if I want to accomplish this in 12 months, where do I have to be in 6 months? Where do I have to be in 2 months? Where do I have to be in 4 weeks? Where do I have to be this week? Where do I have to be today? And then do that every day until that time comes, and it will probably happen. I think, like, a lot of visualization, actually, I don't visualize the goal. I visualize the actions to get to the goal. So I wouldn't visualize me having $1 million. I would visualize making 200 cold calls a day for a year, because then the result is inevitable if you do the action. And I think the action is what people struggle to actually do consistently.
Yeah, you put that really well. And I think that is where people kind of mess it up, and they kind of push that side of things away, is they just want whatever they're kind of dreaming up. But anybody can do that, and everybody is already doing that. Everybody wants something, but nobody or very few people actually put in the action steps to get to that thing that they actually want.
Yeah. And it's usually not fun action steps is the thing. Like,
right.
But when you know why you're doing it, it's easier, if that makes sense. Like, if you have a bigger goal and you believe that you're going to get there by doing X, then whatever it is a lot easier. It's not like you're just aimlessly doing something without a reason behind it.
So what are, with you having your business kind of delegated the way you do and having several people helping you out with it, what are kind of your highest ROI activities that you can do within your business?
So I still tweak ads. I really like doing that. Other than that, kind of just identifying new suppliers that we could partner with in different areas. So, like, more so now, actually, just my job is essentially just trying to find good people in certain areas and plugging them in. So like SEO experts or like CRO experts, and then just plugging them into our business, which actually by kind of indirectly, I always watch what they do so I can learn myself that I'll hopefully be able to implement into my own agency in the future. So if I'm hiring like the best people in a certain field and I know exactly what they're doing, then I can kind of indirectly almost use them as mentors, which has been super helpful as well.
Yeah, that was a tweet you put out recently, and I thought that was incredibly smart to do in business. Basically, you just hire people out for month-long contracts, and basically just soak up all you can from them in whatever they do, whether it be SEO or whatever niche they do, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I always try and hire like the best there is in any field. Lots of people wouldn't do that because they're a lot more expensive. Mm-hmm. But if you hire cheap, then you're not going to get the same knowledge. So for example, you can hire someone cheap for 12 months, or you can hire the best for 1 month, learn from them, and then implement it yourself. So you're probably not actually even paying much more, but then you're actually gaining the knowledge to implement on your own team, which is, I think, the big win.
Yeah, and I think it's probably even more so important with what you're doing and the different like online skills there are. Like if you hire a plumber to fix something, like multiple people can probably do a similar job. If it comes to painting or something like that, like somebody might do a little bit better than that. But if it comes to information skills like that, there's people that have put in way more reps. They have worked with way more clients, and they probably have a wealth of knowledge over the person that is just kind of starting out or just trying to get their feet up under them.
Yeah, like I've seen people on Twitter who have like you said, an information-based skill who can charge $5,000 an hour for consulting because they have like essentially like what you're doing when you hire someone like that is you can learn it, but you're paying for the time it's going to take you to learn it. So I can either pay this guy $5,000 to tell me exactly what he did to get where he is now, or I can like labor away for 300 hours and try and learn everything myself. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the thinking with hiring really good people in whatever field it is just to quickly learn from them. What are they doing? And then implement it yourself.
What are you trying to learn really fast right now? Are there any skills you're trying to pick up or get better at?
SEO, it's very complicated. There's a lot of different moving pieces to it. So that's kind of something I've been trying to learn for a while. Conversion rate, I have like a pretty good understanding of now, especially with the higher ticket goods store. I'm sure it does vary depending on like product price. And all of my advertising knowledge is been limited to our store. So very, very good knowledge of like high ticket items. But I eventually, with my agency, I'm sure we'll have other product types, like whether it's SAS, SaaS brands, or like info products or coaching. I don't have like a super in-depth understanding of how my current advertising knowledge would fit into something like that. So I definitely like to kind of like connect some dots there for sure.
SaaS is something that really interests me. My first episode, I had JK Molina on. I'm sure you probably ran across him on Twitter. But yeah, just what he's built with that company impresses the hell out of me.
I use it actually. It's awesome.
So we can he's probably gonna make a clip out of this and use it as an ad. What kind of SaaS are you using for either personal use or for your business that really improve your life?
So definitely that for Twitter, like on the personal brand side. With our business, we're essentially built on Shopify, Monday.com we use, which is very good. Aircall, gorgeous for customer service. That's pretty much it, I think. Just trying to think in terms of, we use Slack, obviously, like most e-commerce stores would. I think that's pretty much it. In terms of my personal brand, it would be Tweet Hunter. And I think there's one other one I use, Tweet Fury or something like that.
I started with Hype Fury.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I started with Hype Fury and went over when JK started that. And yeah, they're honestly similar products, but there's a lot more people using Tweet Hunter now just because of all the people talking about it. But it interests the hell out of me how people can build a SaaS brand like that. Very little overhead. Once you kind of have it built, it just kind of runs itself. So it's something that I have no inspiration to do right now, but down the road, like just the implications of what you can do with SaaS amaze me.
Yeah, it's I can't even think of like how. Yeah, like it's never something I've really thought of either. Like any ideas I've thought of have been more like marketing related or product related. Like I don't know. It's almost like potentially taking an existing social media or different tool you use and making it better.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. Like his is like, instead of You can just tweet out all your tweets in the morning and then not look at it all day and still be productive. That's why I've took the most value from it for sure.
Where are you wanting your reach to go social media wise? I know you're on Instagram and Twitter. Do you have any intentions to do any kind of short form video, or are you wanting to get into TikTok or Instagram Reels or anything like that?
I do want to. I've been meaning to really start that. It's just with my store, with doing the content now, trying to like create my agency stuff. I'm very strapped for time, and I honestly have no idea how to make TikTok videos or Reels or anything.
Yeah.
I've downloaded Premiere Pro to make some progress eventually, but I don't want to start just pumping out shit content. Like, I actually want to like learn how to do it first before I start actually making videos. So hopefully in the next month or so, I get more consistent there. But I think I'll probably do what Hormozy does, like use Twitter as kind of like your idea board, and then what performs well there. Like if it's a long thread that does well, then make a long form YouTube video. If it's like a short tweet that does well, just make like a short TikTok. I think that makes sense in terms of content.
Interesting. I'll link you up with somebody after the show. He actually did. He does a lot of the short form videos for Anthony Price that I had on a couple of videos or a couple of podcasts ago. You might be interested in. What interests me with TikTok right now is I heard somebody make a comment the other day that they're kind of turning into the new like search engine, like versus you. If you're going out of town somewhere and you're wanting to find a place to eat, you might Google and find a bunch of different restaurants, but you could Google places to eat in Vegas on TikTok and you're going to see shit on fire and all kinds of different experiences that you can go and enjoy. I know you're kind of diving into SEO right now. What do you kind of think about TikTok as a search engine?
I heard that, and I've read the same, but for YouTube, because obviously Google is by far the biggest search engine in the world, and they own YouTube. So I think that what we'll see is what you're describing will happen a lot on YouTube Shorts in the next couple of years. TikTok, I'm really not sure. Like I don't know how that will progress, just with their data issues and stuff like that. Like I know there's lots of talk about that. So how that evolves remains to be seen. But I think that Google will really, I bet you Google like sees that happening and is trying to like leverage their engine to put that on YouTube instead. Yeah,
it's an interesting battle watching YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok right now, kind of fighting for the short form. What have you used the most to grow your own business? Has it mostly been Google Ads?
Yeah, so we're pretty much only, we use Google Ads. A lot of the demographic above 50, 55, actually like 80% of them still use Bing. So we use Bing PPC. There's an integration with Google where you can just press like transfer Google campaigns and they'll just all go over there without you doing anything, which is super convenient. We do use Facebook, Pinterest for remarketing. And then we obviously have blogs and things like that. I would like to try Facebook, but I think it will be quite an investment up front to get the data just with our price point. Like Facebook is essentially just throwing products in front of like an audience and hoping they buy.
Right.
Like I'm sure it would work at some scale. What scale, I don't know. And you probably have to spend a lot of money to figure out what audience that is.
Yeah. And with Google, people are kind of already searching for whatever products you're listing. So that they're kind of essentially already a warmer lead. But yeah, like you said, with Facebook, they're just scrolling through wanting to know what their cousin and mom are doing on Facebook. So yeah, they aren't really warmed up to buy anything. Yeah, it's very interesting. I've been really interested in lead generation and just like different ways to get it for other businesses, kind of a side hustle I'm kind of looking at developing. And for just regular service businesses, Facebook kind of seems to be the way to go because somebody might already be searching for something like that and they would fill out a lead form and kind of already be a pre-qualified lead. But yeah, there's so many different sources of traffic on the internet. It's just like you said, there's an overwhelming amount of things going on at any time. So it's kind of hard to figure out where to put your attention sometimes. So I've kind of asked what I wanted to ask about your business and kind of about who you are as a person. Do you mind if I hit you with a couple of rapid fire questions and we'll wrap it up here in about 10 or 15 minutes, Brooke?
Sounds perfect, man.
So Brooke, what kind of beliefs or habits have you implemented over the last couple of years that have best improved your life, I would say?
Yeah, I think getting up early has been the single most, just in terms of, I'm not one of those people who just says like, oh, you get up at 5 a.m. every day, you're going to be a millionaire, for sure. But I think for me, it's that time where like I have 6 or 7 hours where no one's bugging me. Like no one's emailing me, no one's texting me. Like I literally just have that time to actually focus. So whether you wake up at 8 and do that, I think at some point in your day, you need that, whether you're a night owl when you stay up and do that at night, you need like some time, at least like 4 to 5 hours every day of like completely uninterrupted focus where you can just like do your stuff with no phone, no email, nothing.
And what's been one of the best investments you've made, whether it be an investment of time, energy, or money?
Definitely in coaches and coursing. Coaches and courses. Like I've spent probably close to 6 figures on literally mentors and in courses the last 15 months. And that sounds like a lot, but like until I'm actually making the amount of money I want to make on a monthly basis, it's a way higher ROI investment to purchase the skills that will get you there than to put it in some passive vehicle and hope that it kind of magically increases without your, you don't really have control over it.
Yeah.
So like one of my mentors now, he actually like he worth like well into 8 figures. He doesn't have any investments outside of his own businesses because he said, I have no control over them. So even though I might get a great return, I'll just put it into my own businesses and my own skills, and that will give me a better ROI. I kind of agree with that. Like I think eventually I'd like to get into real estate and more passive vehicles eventually, but it won't be until I'm at a spot where like I don't need to make any more.
Yeah. It's something Hormozy's been talking about a lot here lately, investing in the S&P 500, basically just making yourself an absolute unit in like money-making abilities and just honing your skills to where, and it's not much different than people saying versus trying to build all your streams of income at once. Like focus on your first stream of income, and you are your main stream of income, whether it be through your skills, through whatever you provide to the world. So it does just make sense to just kind of hone in on that one thing.
And it's usually like when you hear people like, oh, like the average millionaire's got 8 streams of income, whatever the saying is. Yeah, they do. But like they didn't become a millionaire from 8 streams of income. They became a millionaire from 1 stream of income, and then they invested in 8 streams of income, and now they have 8 streams of income. It's usually probably how it goes. I don't think anyone's doing like, I don't know one 20 to 30-year-old who has 8 streams of income. Yeah, I know like a lot of people are like pretty successful.
So do you have like a favorite quote, or if you had a giant billboard to get a message out to 1 billion people, is there something that you'd put on it?
I think just start anything. Yeah, just start whatever it is you're hesitating on. You have to just start.
Lastly, what are some bad recommendations you kind of hear in your profession or your area of expertise, whether it be in the e-com space or digital advertising or anything like that?
Sell low ticket stuff.
Yeah,
for sure. Learn everything yourself. Invest in the stock market, I would say, if you're not earning what you want. I'm hesitant to say I'm hesitant to say go to university, but it's really hard because I think I learned a lot of valuable skills there, like such as writing, how to articulate yourself well is very important. But I think especially law school for me, don't go do something like that unless you're positive you actually want to do it. Don't go hoping. In the digital advertising space, I think it's kind of best to actually optimize one platform first rather than try to do everything. So like really juice out one platform, like get to know your audience as much as you can on one. Like it doesn't really matter what one that is, but really like go all in on one channel. And then once you've kind of juiced that out, then look to expand to other ones. I wouldn't say it's really valuable to try and do everything at once just because they're all different, and you'll probably like spend a lot more money than if you go all in on one, figure out your exact avatar on one. It's probably a lot easier to like go just move that avatar to a different platform than try and do it all at once.
When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused or like you've lost your focus, what do you do to kind of get you back into the swing of things?
So I usually walk or work out. So I'm actually doing 75 hard right now, if you're familiar with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's been super helpful for me with that. Like I was in a bit of a rut for a while where I would just stay in my condo and do work all day. Like I wasn't being lazy or like I was doing productive stuff, but it's not great mentally to just stay inside all day. And you get a point where like you're working, but like you just feel like you've hit a wall. Like you literally just nothing you do past that point is going to be productive. So usually when that time happens now, I do my workouts. So like in the morning, I wake up at like 4, I work till like 9. I'm like usually after 5 hard hours ready for a break. I'll go do my walk, come back, make some food, do another 3 or 4 hours, go work out again, and then do a couple more before at night before bed. But usually workout or walk. I do meditate at times. But that's actually something I need to be more consistent with for sure.
Well, Brooke, I've really enjoyed this conversation, man. Like I said, you just popped up a couple weeks ago on me. I really look forward to seeing your threads and stuff that you're putting out. You're putting out some really high quality content. Can you tell people where they can find you at and what stuff you want to plug?
Yeah, so my Twitter and my Instagram are ecom with Brook, ECOM with Brook, BROOK. And my TikTok will be that as well as YouTube, but I still have not started really pushing content on those, but I will be in the coming weeks and months for sure.
Well, I hope this conversation's inspired some people. If they've been looking at e-com and wanting to do the low ticket stuff, maybe consider something else. I really like what you've shared, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for taking the time to do this podcast, and I look forward to chatting with you down the road, man.
It's been a pleasure, Ryan. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Take care, brother.
Bye.